Hello everybody. Welcome to today's webinar, The Real World State of the BI Market, a look at 2013's Wisdom of Crowds BI Market Study. My name is Daniel Chaudez. I look after Yellowfin for EMEA, and I'll also be joined by Ivan Sauer, one of our senior consultants here at Yellowfin. And we're going to take a look at one of the BI industry's most in-depth research studies to understand usage, technology trends, and developments in the industry. Why are we doing this? To give you an understanding of what is going on, our experiences, and to apply what's relevant to your own BI implementation. Part one of today's session, we'll be looking at key objectives for organisations and the key initiatives today, understanding what the industry priorities are and how they've changed from last year, as well as the penetration of BI and its successes and failures. For the second part, we're going to look at the many BI vendors and how they stack up against each other, how they are ranked across a number of key criteria that customers are looking for. But first, a bit of background. The Wisdom of Crowds, what is it all about? So the Wisdom of Crowds is a leading industry study designed to collect data on trends, vendors and products in the business intelligence marketplace. It's feedback on real implementations and allows for the examination of realities, plans and perceptions in the BI market. Now, respondents to this study are all people in first-hand experience with BI implementation, so you're getting a real perspective to what's going on. Part of the study is an exhaustive ranking on vendors and product. Vendors are really put through their paces on a number of areas to see how they stack up in the real world. It's not a vendor-sponsored paper, it's just putting it out there and letting people provide real perspective. From the man himself, Howard Dresner, who formulated the study, former Gartner Research Fellow and Head of BI, says the study goes far more in-depth than other market reports, enabling readers to understand the nature and rate of change in the market and to better determine what is real and what is hype. So who makes up this study? Now, Howard is from North America, so it's predominantly have an American flavour to it, but just on a quarter come from EMEA. From a functional perspective, over half the respondents make up IT and exec management, and from the industry side, it's technology and consulting that's best represented. In terms of responses, they had some really large numbers, a total of 1,182 surveys completed, so a really big cross-section, really broad feedback to hopefully, as you'll see in a few minutes, provide some really good insights. But that's the who, the what and the where. Now let's look at the key pieces of wisdom that these crowds are telling us. The first one are the key objectives for organisations. And as you can see from the graphic here, showing a lot of the key objectives, the real standout here being better decision making. Now this is number one across every sector by some margin, as you can see. Now it may seem obvious to some, but very often we see organisations that are not leveraging the full capability of their products to make a better decision. You really have to think about it, how decisions are currently being made. Can I provide more or the right information in some areas to make a better decision? As well as really looking at the mechanism for making that decision. Am I using my mobile tools to inform the right people in the field? Am I using my BI application to track the conversations I have about key data? Or are there a whole lot of emails floating around back and forth and the relevant parties aren't seeing things? Now these are some of the key considerations that you're going to have to really think about, which also flows into the clear number two here, which was improved operation efficiency, which increases in direct relationship to an organisation's size. Next, we have the key initiatives for 2013. So you've got a whole kind of raft of initiatives on the left there, and that graphic represents the importance of those. So the blue on the left is critical, down to very important, and so on. Now the top three in this area were dashboards, end-user self-service, and advanced visualizations. Now dashboards continue to be the most critical, and as we've seen here in the chart, we see it in Yellowfin all the time. Why is it significant? Because this is often the first port of call for consuming information. Dashboards should be a summarized view of the user's world and a simple way to consume their content. What you really have to think about from an implementation perspective and a design perspective is that, make sure you're creating content that makes sense to the user, that pertains to their role and their job, not a generic set of tables to try to facilitate the many, as we often see. And I think part of this really flows into the number 3 objective of advanced visualization. Being able to take the next step to find the answer is the key here, which also ties into that better decision. Allowing your dashboard consumers to drill and slice the data as they need it. You really want to ensure interactivity with the content because you want to engage your users. Part of having the right visualization is being able to draw attention to what's most important. Example, seeing urgency highlighted in red, or make sure you're displaying important metrics and KPIs, not just visuals for visual sake. Taking a step back to number 2, self-service, we see more and more organizations wanting to lighten the load of IT and empower their business users to get the information that they need. This is really driving this self-service requirement. But a key part of this and a key consideration is really trying to ensure control. You don't want to allow everyone the ability to create everything, or you're going to have a case of which version of which person's truth is correct. Where we see this being most successful is ensuring that the right people have that ability and it's shared in the right way. By knowing what is a corporate standard document versus what a business user has gone and create. So what's changed from a priority perspective from 012? And there were kind of 3 areas that really increased in priority that the study found. The first being SaaS and the cloud. And I know those industry will see the way that the cloud is really growing in that space. And as cloud becomes a trusted source, it's going to continue to grow. It's always trust is the key with the cloud. Dashboards, once again, which we talked about. And lastly, mobile. From the mobile perspective, is where we at Yellowfin are really seeing a big jump. Companies buying iPads for the exec team, field sales that operate primarily from their smartphones, all wanting the information in their hands at their fingertips. And using these devices to collaborate with their information, which once again feeds into that better decision. They're seeing collaboration, particularly through mobile, as a key part of this. One major consideration when thinking about mobile is, are you catering for device independence? So often in organizations, we're seeing a mix of phones, a mix of tablets, you bring your own models. And you've got to really think about, does your BI deployment really cater for this? Now, it's not going to be all slides and numbers. We wanted to really highlight, those key findings in, real-world scenarios. So what I'm going to do now is throw to Ivan, who's going to show you our interpretation is the way that we look at those key findings and how we address them from a Yellowfin perspective.
Thanks, Dan. So just to repeat what Dan has just said just now, in terms of drawing attention to what are the key objectives that companies are looking for these days, which is better decision making and also to have an improved operational efficiency within their organization. And also, what are initiatives in terms of, what are the current trends? And it's been found through a study that it all centers upon the dashboard, the mobile, self-service BI, and also taking advantage of advanced visualizations. So there are many things within Yellowfin which we've done to help support those sort of objectives and those initiatives. So one of these things that we've introduced in Yellowfin is the ability to keep track of everything with a timeline. So for the rest of you who have not seen a timeline before, it is quite similar to how you would view a Facebook wall. So essentially an event tracking device that sort of allows you to track the pulse of your company to see who's working on what, what's currently popular in terms of a BI solution. So over here, as an example, you can see there's someone over here that's sharing a sales performance report with me. And over here, we've got a discussion going on between a few people regarding training. So as I keep going in terms of down the timeline, I can very quickly see just from a glance that what exactly is being used within my platform in my organization. What are the popular artifacts? Who's working on what? Who's talking to who? That sort of thing. So with this, you can easily find out what's happening in your BI space in your company. So one of the things that we've done to really foster the better decision-making part is to basically let the people make what we call a decision thread. So for people who are used to timeline, they do know they can easily make a new post in the timeline and even add Yellowfin artifacts to it. So such as the reports, a dashboard, storyboard, or your remote URL. But then we've gone one step further to enhance this experience, which is to basically allow people to turn this into a decision thread. So I'll run through an example of what might happen, a day in the life for an organization. So for example, I might be a manager who, perhaps wants to look a bit more on the profit margin side of my company. And since the financial year has just ended, so I might actually want to improve on this. So let's just say, I might have a few reports that support some of the questions that I might have to my people, and my teams surrounding me. So I might just say, let's just drag the agency sales over time report over here as an example. And then I might just pose the question to the people who are connected to me on a timeline. So I might just say, sales in Australia, isn't that great? What can I do, or what can we do to improve this, to improve profit margins? And then I essentially post this away to everyone who's connected to me so that they can see it in the timelines. But I'll turn it into a decision thread. So it means that that there is a theme to this. So I might just say that there might be opportunity to improve things in this area, and then it probably will require a decision as to how do we improve profit margins within the company. So I'll say yes if it requires a decision, and I might just put a due date to that as well. So I'll say we need an answer for this question by the end of this week. So I'll click OK, and I'll click Post. And what happens is, for the people who are connected to me in a timeline, when they log into Yellowfin, they will see my post over here, and and then they can easily start thinking and brainstorming, and then maybe put their own comments into this decision thread. So what I'm going to do now is bounce over to a separate instance of Yellowfin just to simulate how someone else who's logging into the other timeline might see my thread and how it looks like. So this Lachlan James over here, he's the marketing manager for the company, and then he's seeing his decision thread, and he goes, all right, so what do we need to do here, and what do I need to find out to answer this question? So he might just go away and perhaps go to the dashboards that he has in his deployment. So basically accessing the right data, and the data that's available to him. Again, taking advantage of the ability to look at dashboards and to have all his reports all logically grouped for him. So he might actually now go through perhaps the revenue dashboard and then concentrate on the profit margin report over here. Again, leveraging the the artifacts that's available to him, to get to what he wants in this instance, to look at the data that he needs to find out exactly what he needs to know. So he might just maximize this report, and then showing the advanced visualizations over here, the ability to slice and dice and figure out exactly what he needs to propose to that question. So he might actually just look at perhaps Australia and go, yes, that's true, profit margin is a bit low, but why is that? Is it because we concentrate a bit too much on adventure? So let's perhaps compare against the data from Asia, and I can see that profit margin is pretty high in that region. And what do they concentrate on? Perhaps luxury. So let's just say, for example, if the answer was to perhaps concentrate on that particular demographic. So he might actually go and do a bit more research with some of the reports and some of the data, but for time's sake, let's just say that is the solution to that. So what he might do over here is perhaps reply to this, and then he can easily see that this is a discussion now with a resolution that's due in 3 days, and then he can even reply and go, I think we need more campaigns. And then if people are connected to, perhaps the original decision thread, they can easily weigh in their opinions and, have a really quick brainstorming session. So we're really trying to improve operational efficiency here by, getting rid of the whole everyone needs to meet in the meeting room and everyone needs a printout to look at to decide things. So our take on it is, why not have the decision being made on the run? These are people that are, might not even be in the same place, but they're all connected with the same platform. And why not have everyone collaborate that way? So people can add their comments and all that. They can easily vote what they think is the correct way, what the correct resolution is in terms of this question. And then, for example, Lachlan thinks he has the best answer to this, so he might actually just go ahead and propose a resolution now. He says he might actually go, we need to concentrate on, on the luxury demographic over here. So I'll just type that up, and then he's going to click OK. And what you can see now is that decision thread has now updated, and it has moved on to a new stage. So it means a resolution has been proposed. And I can easily vote for this if I wanted to, even though it's a bit silly to vote for myself in this case. But then other people can come into this and go, all right, so that makes a lot of sense. So people can easily, like it or dislike it, and then people can view the poll to see how popular that decision is. So over time, as we get nearer to the due date, what I'll do, I'll switch back to myself now to see how it actually updates on my end. So I can see, as a person who's posted this question, that Lachlan James has proposed a resolution, and actually I actually agree with that as well. All right, and then over time, if we all decided this is the best way to go, then I might actually just accept this. And accepting the resolution means we now have an answer to this decision thread. We've made a decision on this, and then over time people can see, due to the color coding, that the decision thread is not closed, it's resolved, and we have a resolution to this. So this is just one of the things that we actually do and bring about to answer and to assist in those objectives and initiatives that Dan just talked about just now. So one of the other things that you also do, in terms of now moving on to the other initiatives that Dan talked about, in terms of what are the key things besides dashboards and advanced visualizations that you just saw. Another big thing is also the self-service BI. Now, we don't really think self-service BI as only as part of the creation process. We also do think that self-service BI should be from the consumption process as well. So, for example, the ability to know exactly what people are looking at when they have access to a dashboard, the ability to get to what they want, to get to what they need, the data that makes sense for the business analyst, the consumer, the executive. So basically from a consumption aspect, we present the ability to show help. So for example, people knowing exactly what the dashboard's all about due to the descriptions over here, not only from a content perspective, but also from a feature and application perspective as well. So knowing exactly what they need to do in terms of the program itself to get to where they need and to get what they want. So we have the ability to now show the help to the user to really ease them along this process. So that's basically from a consumption process. Now, we also have other things working in the background to now aid a person from a creation process. Like Dan was basically saying, having the business analyst or the business user being able to create things and then posting these things as part of the BI solution. So one of the things is perhaps, for example, coming from the earlier scenario, once perhaps we've proposed a resolution, we've executed it, and then now we want to see if some of the things that we've done so far have been effective. So perhaps Lachlan James, perhaps I might just go back to him now rather than myself. And then perhaps I might just create a report to show how sales have actually gone up since my resolution has been executed. So let's just say the campaigns were successful, or if they were not, we want to really see whether this is true or not in this case. So I might just drag a few columns here to show exactly what might actually happen in this case. So the data here is not really that important. But then Lachlan might just go ahead and go, let's make a sales report to show the invoice amounts. And as a direct result of all the campaigns that we've run since the resolution phase. And then now he goes, all right, so I now need to share this with perhaps not only my manager, but also to other people as well to show them that what we're doing is actually on the right path. So again, in production, you don't really want to have every single user being able to simply make a report and then push it to production. So one of the things we introduce is also the ability to have approval. So having people do self-service BI, but still going through a workflow management where only ensuring the right data the verified and tested data gets through all the way to production, so that the quality of a BI solution is still there. So as Lachlan, he does understand that, so he'll just name this report as a sales report, but then he'll request approval for it to be posted to the production folder. All right. And what I'll do now is I'll switch back to myself over here, as naturally I would be perhaps part of the BI approver team, or maybe the super user team. And then, I might just log into Yellowfin again at some other time, but then suddenly realize, oh, hang on, perhaps there might be some changes here in the timeline. No, perhaps I'll look at the dashboard. And then over here, I might just have a look at my inbox. And then all of a sudden, I can see there's a new message for me saying that Lachlan James wants me to approve the sales report. And then I might just go, let's have a look at this. So so basically, this whole workflow thing is to ensure that the right data gets through. And here I am looking in the report, verifying the content and the look and feel of it. And I go, actually, what? This is actually correct. So let's just release this to production. So I might actually now approve this. So clicking on this will approve the report, which means this report is now officially released to production, and other users and other stakeholders can easily access this report as well. Now, moving on to the other initiative on mobile, besides dashboards being important, mobile distribution is really important and is the trend these days. So perhaps as a manager here, I might realize this report is really important to the people who are out in the field, like my sales agents who need access to this data. So what I might do now is I might actually just share this report and then distribute it to my sales team. So I'll click on the sales team and I go, hey, check this out, because I know it will be useful, for these guys who are outside HQ. So clicking OK now distributes this report to all the sales agents, and these people they might not be in the office, so they might actually access Yellowfin via the mobile devices. So whether it be an iPad, an iPhone, or the Android platform. So what I'm going to do now is basically show you how it will look like on the mobile platform. And what I'll do is I'll actually run an emulator where it allows me to synchronize my iPad to my laptop. And after sending this report off, a person could be perhaps outside, doing his normal day job, a sales agent, and he needs information in terms of what to work with in this BI solution. So he has access to this. His mobile device is always connected back to the server instance. So it means that if anything new or anything that's modified will flow through seamlessly into the mobile device via updates. So he's always in the know as to what's truly happening back at HQ. And then he might just actually perhaps look at his inbox to see there's nothing there, but just do a quick refresh. And then now there's a sales report, and that's the sales report that, that's the one that I just distributed a few seconds ago. And then he might actually click on that and go, okay, so this is a new artifact for me, being sent by management at HQ. And then, and just looking at this, I might perhaps add a comment or something like that saying thanks, and, and then go about and do my job based on the new data that's available here. So basically showing the ability to basically have a decision that's made right from the top, flow all the way down to the bottom part of the company. So basically having information and decisions made flowing to all relevant channels within the company with a single integrated BI platform. And with that, I'll just pass you back to Dan.
Thanks for that, Odd. Next part, just talking about, you rolled out BI, thinking about, the adoptions and successes, which the study talks about. Here's a quote, really talking about, the amount of tools out there. I'll go into the study part in a second. Talked about, multiple, oftentimes redundant BI tools within an organization is quite common, where 2 to 3 tools are quite typical. And this is kind of showing kind of a look there. So around that 2 to 3 mark is the kind of standard across an organization. And staggeringly, there's, some orgs with 10 or more BI tools. A bit crazy there. We're seeing that more and more BI is being wrestled away from IT into a business function. A business unit is looking at their specific need and moving forward with the BI product to suit that. As this happens more, we may even see an increase of that, 2 to 3 to 3 to 4 in the coming year. But what is really critical part of this is that planning phase, and really understanding the needs of the many. Where we've seen successful deployments, we've seen BI spread out into an organisation, and that influence has always come from the top across all areas, which leads into kind of BI penetration. From the penetration side, it's not very rosy, according to our respondents. Progress has been modest. Only a minority of employees have access to BI. That's a quote from the study itself. Looking at it, by the numbers, a majority of respondents say that around 11% of employees have access to the BI today, but they don't want that. They want more people to have access. Over 72% said we want 40 plus percentage employees in the next 3 years to be engaged with their BI tool. In Yellowfin today, we're probably seeing more of the second point happening now as opposed to planning the future. Our customers and a lot of the customers that are coming to us are really looking to go out to the larger audience or wanting a mechanism to do that more so than planning that is what we're seeing. A recent Dresner quote, which I think sums it up quite well, it talks about penetration and success levels really go hand in glove. When BI initiatives succeed, BI is more likely to expand within an organisation and touch other functions, which kind of leads into the function area side of things nicely. As we can see across all the major areas, one primary group is dominate from an interest perspective, and that's exec management. They remain the key driver, development, and success factor in BI initiatives across all these areas. The execs have to have buy-in to BI to really achieve success, no matter where it is. Another quote from the study, which I think sums it up very, very well, saying success requires that top-down approach. If these initiatives deliver meaningful information on which execs can run their company, then BI will filter throughout the rest of the organisation. And it really makes sense. If the execs are purchasing the product, they're using it, they're finding buy-in, they're getting success and using it the right way, it's going to flow through. The rest of the company is going to follow that lead and engage with the product in the same way, and that's really critical. And lastly, one that kind of sticks in my mind from my former consulting days, that the respondents were asked that what is the key reasons for both success and failure from BI implementation, and the one that stands out quite significantly is good old data. It's always been the key foundation to any successful BI deployment, from making sure it's structured the right way so you're getting the right answers to the right questions, making sure it's accurate so you're getting that confidence with the user group. Data is the fundamental to anything. We might have all the bells and whistles in the world, if the data is not right, it's not going to work. And with that, we move to part 2 of the session, looking at vendor rankings and how we all stack up. Now, by the numbers, there are a total of 23 vendors analysed across 33 separate criteria, ranked on a 5-point scale, 5 being excellent and 1 being very poor. And in terms of the key criteria, there was 7 groups which really kind of encapsulated this, and this is what customers are looking for, from the product, from the vendor. First being that sales experience, making sure there's the professionalism, there's responsiveness, and there's a flexibility in accommodating needs. Value, a key criteria, making sure you're getting that bang for your buck when it comes to your product set. The quality of the product, is it scalable? The usability, the ease of installation and customization are some of the key areas there. Then we had support and consulting, making sure the product knowledge is there, the experience in dealing with support is an enjoyable one, the responsiveness and the time to respond as well. Integrity of product and the vendor, it does what it says on the packet. It's a trusted relationship you can have. And the last one, which is probably one of the biggest ones for mine, is it a recommended product? Would you recommend this to other people in other organisations? So how do we all go? Now, for the purpose of the study, we were categorised into market segments. The first one being the titans, so the mega vendors such as the Cognos and BOs of the world, which scored 3.66 on average. Next we had the pure play, vendors kind of focused on software and services such as MicroStrategy and Cryptech, which ranked 4.16. After that we had high growth, which were vendors that have achieved critical mass in the market, such as Tableau and Spotfire at 4.29. And the 2 higher categories were emerging and specialised. Emerging being vendors that are typically younger in age, but offer innovative models and technologies, which included Yellowfin. and specialised, which were those around for 10 plus years, which spoke on specific segments such as doneness. But how do we go? This is a Yellowfin webinar after all, and here's the results. Something that we are very proud of from a results perspective, and not only scored extremely well across all the major areas and the highest score in our group, but we got the highest score overall out of all kind of 23 vendors and products, which we're obviously pretty happy about. But more so that it was actually our customers that feel this way about the product and services. And for mine, I think the best endorsement was 100% of our respondents recommended Yellowfin, which was just awesome to hear. In detail, this is how we look in all those kind of 33 points, and I won't ask you to look at all those individually, but just understand that with this particular diagram, the blue line is Yellowfin, the green line is the average of our peer group, which is the emerging category, and the red line is the overall sample of all the vendors and their average. As you can see there, we're not only in front, we're in front by some margin. Lastly, I think this quote from the study kind of really sums it up for us. Leader, again in 2013, improving on scores in virtually all categories versus 2012. And that's, for us, we try to improve the product in every iteration. It's really awesome that our customers feel that way as well. And it was best in class for all measures in all categories and had a perfect recommended score. Now, we only had 35 to 40 minutes to really touch on things, but if you'd like to look at the whole report and see a complete breakdown, because there's really good stuff in there, you can download it from Yellowfin BI, our website, or check it out from our Twitter feeds and our LinkedIn group. And that really concludes the session here today. Thank you everyone today for your time. Anything else, please just let us know. Thank you very much. Have a good evening or day wherever you are, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.